Hello friends, it's Kimberly. We are in Matthew chapter 8 starting at verse 23 and talking about the story of when Jesus calmed the storm. I'm going to show you some little art journaling techniques that I'm using for this entry here. So on the back of this piece of paper, I did the devotional, so I'm using the front side of the paper for decoration. And on the back side, I'm scribbling out everything I can think of that I am afraid of or that I have fears about. It brings me worry or anxiety, and I'm just scribbling it everywhere. But I am legitimately writing words, and when you write them down, even if you can't read them, it just helps because it gets it out of your head and onto a piece of paper. And now what I'm going to do is cover it up with black paint. And for me, this is kind of like an act of letting it go. Like, I don't have to stare at all these things that make me nervous. I don't have to keep them in my head and worry about them because Jesus is the one who calms the storm. And in fact, that's what he was saying to the disciples. It almost sounds like he was admonishing them. Like it says, why are you afraid? Don't you know who I am? And, but I think it was probably a much more like, guys, hey, I'm the good guy here. Remember, you're going to be okay because you've seen all these miracles. You don't think I can handle this storm? And so I just love that because Jesus will often approach me that way too. Like, hey, you've seen how I work in your life. Why are you afraid now? Or why are you anxious about this situation? Don't you think I can do that too? So if Jesus is the one that can calm the storm in our lives, then he invites us to understand the truth of who he is. So I'm using my favorite white gel pen, in case you're wondering. It's the Uniball Signo pen. They are wonderful. The only reason it's not writing well here is because it's almost out of ink. But he's inviting me to look into the truth of who he is. Because frankly, everything that's under the black paint is stuff that I've been worrying about as a human. But the truth is that Jesus has all that covered, and that I really don't have to have the worries and anxieties that tend to plague, you know, they plague me, they plague us, they plague all of us. Because if we didn't worry so much, do not worry wouldn't be all over in the Bible, I guess. So anyway, so now I'm just playing with these little tags and tickets and things. So the business card there off to my right is Rapido Studio, and they have all this ephemera and all sorts of cute stuff. I'll show you that tag that they made at the end of this video. But they have an Etsy store, and it's just rapidostudio.etsy, and you can find all sorts of cute stuff like this to put in your Bible or to make cards or scrapbooking with, whatever you enjoy using ephemera for. So these little pieces came in the June kit with purpose-driven essentials, and so I thought I'd just do kind of a collaging technique here on the front. And to be honest, the collage part, sometimes I do ones that each little piece has a whole lot of meaning to me, and I'm collaging for the point of making a piece of art that has meaning. But the front side of this, I was just playing and having fun. So I've been just pulling these things together, used that Jesus stamp from the stamp set, and my big brush marker there to write the word to. So I pulled in the yellow from the little yellow ticket to try to get all these little components to match and go together a little bit. You guys know me, I'm not super big into matching, but thought it would be fun to try to get some of this stuff to look like it kind of all goes together. And here's another thing. I've been practicing my hand lettering. You see it right there. And it is not beautiful yet. It could be worse, but it's not where I'd like it to be. It's not beautiful like some of the people I see on Instagram. But it's good enough. And what's kind of cool is if you let yourself be imperfect, and if you let yourself just go through a process, then you'll see that process unfold before your eyes. If you hide all the mistakes and all the imperfections, then you're never going to see where you came from, and it may feel like that you're not progressing at all. So go ahead and let yourself practice writing things in your Bible, and even if it looks horrible, even if it doesn't turn out the way you want, even if you don't think it's Instagram worthy, because it's a process and none of us are there yet. So I hope one thing you get from my channel is just to be fearless in your Bible. Fearless about expressing who you are in your type of art style in a way that you like doing, without the pressures of it having to be looking beautiful for Pinterest or something like that. So back in the day, I'm really old. So back in the day before Pinterest, we had things called magazines. And I used to be a scrapbooker, and all my friends would say, you should send your scrapbooking layouts in because they look so good, and see if they'll, highlight you. And I always thought that would be really, really cool to have one of my scrapbooking layouts in a magazine. And so I'd work really hard and I'd make everything as perfect as I could. And if one page didn't turn out, boy, I'd work twice as hard on the next one. And not only did I never get published in a magazine, there's a darn good reason why. I never ever submitted to a magazine, you guys. So I was working really hard to make all this beautiful stuff for these magazines that never even knew I existed. How wonky and backwards is that? Okay, but I think we can do that with any kind of artsy or creative thing, including Bible journaling. We can get so hung up on, well, somebody else's handwriting is so much prettier, or somebody else has so many markers that I don't have, or somebody else, there's always something to compare ourselves to if we're looking for comparison. So I would encourage you guys that not only as we're looking at freedom from fear, Jesus also freed us from comparison. If you think about the guys he gathered together to be on his ministry team, like, they didn't even have to fill out an application. They didn't have to prove their worth. In fact, they couldn't prove their worth because they weren't worthy, right? Technically, none of us are worthy enough to be able to be on Christ's ministry team. Yet he qualifies us, not just in spite of our mistakes, but I think almost on purpose, including our mistakes, because then we can be out there helping other people live fearless lives, because then they don't have to feel tied down to their mistakes either. There, I was just showing you, I have the butterfly sticking up, so it's kind of a tab, so I can turn to this page anytime that fear starts bugging me. I can pull back to this verse and remember that there was this day where I wrote all my fears down and covered them up with the truth. And that symbolically to me is just so precious. So this is a cute little tag from that Etsy store, and I'm using it as a bookmark, but I wanted to show it to you guys just so you can see what they, a little bit of what they do in their store. All right, you guys, I will be back again soon, and I hope you'll all have a great, fearless day. Bye-bye.